Hello and welcome back to Conquest TV, your free video guide to your Warhammer 40,000 Conquest subscription. I'm Frankie Vu, and in this video we're covering issue 13. What's great about issue 13 is that it adds our first scenery piece to our collection, a Munitorum armoured container, along with some barrels and crates. These are going to make our games even more immersive. Along with a guide for building the Munitorum armoured container, there's also lots of lore to read up on and some great gaming content. Let's get started. In issue 13, you'll learn more about the Honour of Ultramar, the mighty Ultramarine starship on which all your battles so far have taken place. You'll discover the storied history of this venerable craft, including where it was constructed and some of its most famous battles, as well as some details about its crew. There's also information about the warp, the hellish realm through which starships must travel to get around the Imperium, the navigators who guide spacecraft through it, and some of the dangers that lurk among its maddening tides. Finally, you'll also get the lowdown on STC systems. STC stands for Standard Template Construct. This is an ancient form of technology that's the basic building block for nearly everything the Imperium produces, from bolters to starships, and over the millennia, many have been lost. You'll read about the brave explorers who scour the galaxy in search of functioning STCs to add to the Imperium's knowledge, and the Adeptus Mechanicus, who jealously guard them once they've been rediscovered. Among these STCs is the design for an armoured container that's used across the galaxy, even in the holds of the Space Marine strike cruisers, and your new model with issue 13 is just such a container. Let's grab our clippers and glue and have a look at how to build it. You'll see that your armoured container comes on a sprue, just like all your other models, and it's built in the same way as well. In fact, because it's basically just a big, though very cool looking box, it's really easy to build. Just follow your construction guide and you'll have it ready in no time. There are a couple of things to note. First is that once you've put together the four long sides of the container, you might want to wrap a couple of elastic bands around it to hold it together while the glue dries. This won't stop you from attaching the side doors though. Once the glue's had enough time to dry, 5 or 10 minutes should be enough, you can slip the elastic bands off and finish adding the details to the model. You'll see that a pair of guns can be attached as well. That's right, in the war-torn 41st millennium, even containers have guns. These are storm bolters. Once they've been built, you can slot them onto the holes on top of the container, but don't glue them in. You want to be able to remove them, particularly because there'll be more armoured containers in future issues and they can stack on top of each other. You'll also find 4 smaller crates and 3 barrels on the sprue. The crates are just a single piece each, and the barrels come in 2 halves. Just use a small amount of plastic glue to stick them together. And that is your first scenery built. We're going to skip painting it for now and come back to that in issue 14. For now, let's get it onto your gaming mat and see what effect it has when you play. As the battles in the Honour of Ultramar have raged on, both the Ultramarines and the Death Guard have started to run low on ammo. So now, the fighting has moved to the cargo decks, where armoured containers hold supplies of ammunition. In Tutorial Mission 12, a force of 5 Plague Marines and 12 Poxwalkers will face off against 3 Intercessors, 3 Reavers and Lieutenant Calcius. At stake is an ammo cache. Let the battle begin. But before we get going on the mission, let's talk about datasheets and the terrain. Datasheets are an expansion of the unit details we've used previously. They collect all the details you need for your units in one place, including their characteristics, all the weapons they can use, and the abilities they have. In issue 13, you'll find datasheets for all the units you're using in this mission. Keep them beside you as you'll play, and you'll have all the rules for your models by your side. There's nothing in these that's new to you, they're just a handy reminder of what you've already learned across the various tutorials. Terrain is anything on the battlefield that's not a part of either army. Across the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest collection, you'll get loads of different terrain to battle across. For now, we'll use your new armoured container to learn the basics of how your warriors interact with the terrain. Terrain affects your warriors' movement, shooting, and charging. Let's start with movement. While the armoured container may look huge, your warriors are more than capable of climbing over it. There are plenty of handholds to scramble up its sides. To do so, you just have to measure the distance they're moving vertically as well as horizontally. For example, this Intercessor wants to move on top of the armoured container. Moving up it is 2 inches, plus another inch to move onto the top. The Intercessor has a move value of 6, so he can move another 3 inches along the top of the container to take up a firing position. From up here, he'll be able to see loads of the battlefield. Warriors can hide behind terrain to prevent enemies from shooting at them. This is a great way to protect your valuable units, especially those who need to get up close to use short-ranged weapons or charge into combat. When you're shooting at an enemy unit that's behind cover, you need to be able to draw line of sight to at least one model in the unit. If you can shoot at them. And if you're firing multiple shots, you can even wound and kill models behind the cover as long as you can see one that's in the open. This is because, although we split the game into phases, all the moving and shooting is really happening more or less at once. So in this example, the intercessors are firing shots into the Plague Marines as they duck behind the cover, although some of them might be unlucky and not get there in time. Terrain affects charging the same way it does other movement. If you want to charge a model on terrain, you'll need to roll enough on your charge roll to cover the vertical distance as well as the horizontal. In combat, a model can target any unit within 1 inch of it. Terrain affects this distance as well. In this combat, the 2 Reavers on the container can attack the Plague Marine. The one on the ground is more than 1 inch away because of the height of the terrain. He doesn't get to make an attack this turn. Sometimes a model won't balance properly on a piece of terrain. If this is the case, make sure you and your opponent know where it's supposed to be and just place it as near as you can. When measuring anything, measure it to and from where the model is supposed to be. Now that you know how terrain affects your game, go ahead and give Tutorial Mission 12 a go. Good luck! Now that you've mastered terrain, it's time to try Replay Mission 12, Seize the Ammunition. This introduces some fun new twists. For a start, the armoured container now has guns that can be fired by any model touching them. Even Poxwalkers can fire them, though they're not very likely to hit. You can also get bonuses to armour saves for units where every model is at least partially obscured behind terrain. This represents some of the shots hitting off the terrain instead of being on target, and it can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Well, with our missions played and our container assembled, that's everything for this issue. Next time, we'll be adding a new brush and paint to our collection, and painting that container. See you then.